Hello there, I'm back on with the UAS today, the Saab 2.3 turbo swap in that. In the previous episode you saw me struggling to make the gear linkage work. It basically ended with me not being able to select anything other than fifth gear. I thought long and hard about changing it to cables, but it's the box side of things which would have been so difficult to convert two inputs into a single input to suit the box. So I decided to persevere with what I've got, and well, let's see, did I make it work? Yes. Actually I think I'm supposed to leave a bit of a pause there to build up tension, but let's just not muck around. It's working. And by it's working, I mean I can select gears. It obviously doesn't drive. Come on. Okay, so this is the monstrosity off the van. Basically what I've got is what I started with originally, the back half of it. By started with originally, I mean what I made last time. I started with nothing, yeah? I made this all myself. There's nobody to blame but me. This UJ had 4 million miles of slop. I basically drilled it out to accept M5 or M6 bolts, threaded it on the back, on the very back, rather than having a roll pin go through with zero adjustment. I've made this setup, and it's like a pinch sleeve setup. So now I've got lots of adjustment. Coming up here to a good 3/8 UJ with minimal slop. This tube, which had the linear bearings in it, I've now cut it in half and lengthened it. So this comes all the way up here. One linear bearing there, one in there. Mounted on a bit of angle iron. This is where the whole setup bolts to the floor underneath the driver's seat. And then this is the bit, this is the business end, right? So one of the problems I was having is that having a stick on a ball joint, what happens is that pivots in the middle, but then the actual attachment which goes towards the selector hangs underneath. So if you can imagine, as this stick moves, this throws out slightly. So to get around that, you need to add an extra UJ in, which is more slop. So I ditched that setup. I think I should just mention that I've welded this up so it just operates in that direction. Do you get me? Weld, 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 weld. And what I've got now is it pivots along the linear bearing. And then I've put a slot in a pipe. And then, as you can see, this is the fore and aft pivot. There was a bit of trial and error. Originally, I was going to try and mount this on the end of this pipe, but then I worked out, because basically this setup, or anything like this, you can either do it via maths or trial and error. So obviously I did it via trial and error. What I found is that there was not enough movement or travel, and I hadn't built it, I was just tacking shit together at this point. There was not enough travel to engage the gears, so I had to raise this up higher, took out the bottom, used the trusty Victoria mill. And it's been on the van, and well, here's my little bit of test footage from that. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse. Right, let's get it in the van. Christ. Right, it's been in and out of the van about 5 times, testing and adjusting things. It's coming back out now for the final bit of welding, then it is going back in. It's done, it's in. One thing I found was that with the full length stick on it, I couldn't get it into the van. So I've had to make the stick basically removable, and it also allowed me to like stagger the stick over slightly. What I've done is a bit of metal drilled and threaded, same on this, then the stick sits off that. So it staggers over slightly. And then I've cranked the stick over a bit more. It's close to the driver's side, but because it's got quite a lot of throw, in first it's close to your leg, but fifth gear is quite far away. Who'd have thought something like this would be a compromise, but it's totally acceptable in my eyes. Now to just finish off some of these welds. Okay, didn't come out mint, but not too bad. Oh, can I just point something out? This pinch bolt, which I showed earlier in the video, the eager-eyed would probably look at it and go, if you've got two nuts there, that's never going to pinch up. Well, that nut there is drilled through. I just used it to... It's just threaded there, so it does pinch up. Nobody cares, but I wanted to tell you anyway. Can you even hear me over the rain? How can it keep getting heavier? Tighten it in the back. So with the help of some mole grips, I just made sure the box is in neutral, in about the central position, the stick central up front. So now I'm going to nip this up. Alright, that is it in its final mounting position. This is where the mounting bolts are. I'll add washers to them at a later date, because I don't have any. M8 washers, run out of. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to chuck the engine cover on and the seat in, and then I'm going to put the stick in and see how it all looks. This will be redesigned. The hinge setup on it is bloody terrible. Okay. Right, that's that. Now for the seat, I'll chuck this on as well, get a real feel for it. Now for the stick. How was it? Okay, let me give you a driver's point of view of operating the gears, okay? So originally the stick was over here, right? That's not possible anymore, mainly due to the fact that the radiator is in the way, and to dogleg it round the side there, got to use extra joints which have more play. It's not working. So now we have the stick further over. So that is first gear, which is in line with the accelerator pedal. So it is a little bit close to the driver's leg, but let's not forget the handbrake is here as well. So ergonomics isn't really a thing in this. So first, second, third, fourth,
fifth all the way over there, and that's nice, plenty of room. Then reverse, nowhere near the engine cover. I am happy with that. Like I said previously, bit of slop in the gears, but you know, you ain't confusing that with that. And I'm happy with it all. I'm even happy with the poorly written number 5 for 5th gear. One thing I'd like to point out about my opinion on this whole swap, right, is that I enjoy the challenge of driving something like this, the Land Rover, the Comma, the older vehicles, right, where I know a lot of people just want to get in a car and they don't really want to be involved in the driving experience. They just want to get wherever they're going, but that's not the case with this. So I like the agricultural feel, so the big long stick and the bit of slop and everything, that is, if anything, that appeals to me. That doesn't put me off. So it sounds like I'm maybe making an excuse for a sloppy mechanism, and I'm not, I promise, but like the big long stick and the long throw and the gear levers, I'm all for that. I'm going to call it there on this video because it's gone on for quite a bit, and there's been a lot of work involved in this. I would love to knock this down to 2 minutes. Yeah, I done the gear mechanism, it was easy, and then move on to the next thing, but this took bloody ages. So I'm going to call it there on this video. The next steps for this thing is decide there is another gear mechanism. It's the high and low 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive selector, but that is going to be easy. Might regret that, but that is going to be simple because I don't need to get the stick operating in the right direction. There's no standardized gate, is there? You know, I can just, it can be forward and backwards, it can be left and right, it doesn't matter. So that one's going to be simple. There's also nothing in the way of that one, I think. That's another thing, that stick does not need to be in an ergonomic position. It's actually all the way over the other side of the van anyway. So that is going to be easy. That will not be 2 videos worth, I promise, I promise. But the next steps is to start welding in the back floor, or at least decide where the floor is going to go above the gear mechanism. And then it's pull the engine box back out, because I need to finalise the engine and box mounts where they're welded to the chassis. And this is a 2 litre, remember, my 2.3 is sat over there, and that is the one that's going to go in there. It's got a fresh crank and everything, so I need to chuck that engine together and fit it in the bay. And there's various other things to sort out as well. But catch me next time, where I'll be doing something else, not multiple weeks of gear linkages. I'm going to shoot off now because it's just stopped raining. Thanks for watching, see you soon.